Well, I thought about writing a letter or an op-ed as I have done in the past when it comes to my work and my ideas around my profession and what I do at Western Washington University. My name is Max Barahona. For those who don't know me, I'm a visiting assistant professor in the communication department at Western. I thought about writing this letter, but I decided to make this video, and I'm going to try to keep it as short as I can. The reason of this is just to express my opinion, reach the president of the university and the decision makers in our institution about the current situation. I commend the fact that you have managed this the best way you can, and certainly this pandemic qualifies as a black swan. But now we have more information, and we need to act accordingly. I definitely expressed weeks before the university finally decided to close campus that it would have been a good idea to actually shut it down weeks before we did. But I understand it's a very complicated economical, political decision. So I'm not accusing the university of any wrongdoing. At the time, we had less information than the amount of information we have right now. And just like Farid Zakaria said just a day ago on CNN, I guess that we need to look at the facts and we need to face uncomfortable realities. And in our case, that means that we are discovering the inequalities among students and even in some cases among staff, of course, and colleagues as well. Instead of being reduced by moving our classes, our courses online, instead of doing it face-to-face, actually has only increased the inequalities and it has shown, highlighted the gap, particularly among students in terms of access to the tools and the technologies and reliable internet connection, laptops, etc., that would allow them to follow correctly and in an effective manner the classes that we're doing online. I already made a video about this and I expressed my opinion about it. I think it's a fact, and we cannot pretend we don't have this information. As a matter of fact, some of my colleagues in the communication department, I'm assuming that in other departments as well, they have started to do this, but they were inquiring, they continue to inquire about some of the needs and challenges that students may face when we move our classes in a week from today online. And well, of course, the findings, the returns are not surprising at all to me. Many students are just expressing that they will not be able to continue next quarter. Some of them already have announced that they will not be able simply because unlike social democracies like the one in France and most of Western Europe, employment and income determines access to healthcare, education in particular, higher education, and childcare and so on. So since a lot of people have lost their jobs, including our students or their families, that means that they have a huge material limitation for them to continue the routines, and that includes their classes at Western. Of course, that will have an effect in next year, and maybe even in the short term next week when we start spring quarter. But my call at this point is the following. We do know that that will be the case. We do know that students, many of them are lacking the access to internet, the access to the tools that we're demanding from them, the very minimum. Many of them have expressed already that they only have smartphones, and it's just not enough. So a couple of things. The most important, the first one actually, is that the university at this point, we don't have the right to pretend that this problem is not there and doesn't exist. So I will suggest, and of course I'm not pretending that I do have the answers, that this is just an opinion, trying to show, my view as an outsider within. I have a triple appartenance, cultural appartenance. I'm Chilean, American, and French, and I'm currently actually in France. I was able to join my family, and now, of course, I'm here, and I will not be able to go back. Fortunate for me, I guess, like the rest of my colleagues, I will be able to teach these classes online. However, I'm a visiting assistant professor. I'm not a tenure track. So that means that, of course, I see the writing on the wall. Some of us will be more effective in the near future, in the coming weeks and months with this situation. And many of us will, if the numbers actually go the way that probably will go, which is reduce registration next year. That means that some of us risk not having our jobs, which is unfortunate and ironic too, the fact that I'm making this video. But the call is for the university to face this reality, and probably instead of reacting, we should be proactive about this, and we should decide sooner than later that next year things will not go back to normal, and most likely, at the very least, and I can, with information I have, the perspective I have right now, it seems to me that next year, next fall, online teaching will be at the very least optional. And that means that some of the classes will have to have both options and be offered to students. But we need to announce those decisions now. That's my opinion, and that's the reason of this video, because waiting will not help reassuring our students and their families and the staff, which is overwhelmed right now with this situation, of course, and my colleagues as well. Having that clarity will help students actually to make decisions and to probably increase, I believe, the numbers registration next year. But that's my opinion. That's something that decision makers at the university will have to make. That's one thing, and the other thing is to definitely, which ATUS and the professionals working at the US are doing and have been doing a great job, and I'm sure that right now they're overwhelmed with the need for them to try to facilitate this online, moving pretty much entire departments, classes, and operations in a moment's notice to an online fashion is not a simple thing, as we all know. So kudos to them, and well, anyway, in terms of our syllabus, I know that we're doing this, and I'm not an expert. I just barely graduated a couple of months ago, timely enough for me, from the online blended class, which I'm very grateful for the help that I got from Justina Brown, Kevin, Dixie, and all the people there. Amazing, and these have definitely eased the pain for people like me and my other colleagues that work with me in that particular class. Definitely, we're very grateful for that opportunity. We need to just think about what are the strategies that will help our students to successfully overcome what is coming, which is actually lack of reliable internet, a lot of problems, social problems, and access. Let's not forget that even our university, even though most of our students come from a very privileged situation, it's not the case for everyone. That's according to even my own ongoing research on that respect at Western. So there is definitely a gap and a difference in the resources that students have, and that will have an effect in their well-being, academically speaking, and also mentally and economically. So anyway, we should think about that, make our syllabus and classes taking into consideration inequalities, which in the States we're not really good at that. Anyway, that's my call. I hope that this prompts a little bit of conversation and discussion. I will remain here, and if anybody would like to continue the conversation, I will be more than glad. So thank you very much. Stay safe, wash your hands, and I hope to see you soon-ish, I guess. Thank you. Take care.